Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Good evening. Welcome to Wisdom Reading from WUSA 108. If you are watching from Facebook, feel free to share your comments. And also if you're watching from YouTube, give us some of your feedback and take part. We are continuing our reading of the book called Civilization and Transcendence. We started it yesterday, and Bhakta Khosi took us along. My name is Savya Sachi Das, and I will be with you this evening. So, thank you for tuning in. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are entering a dialogue style type of book where Srila Prabhupada is interacting with one of his disciples, the sannyasi at the time, His Holiness Pusta Krishna Swami. And they are doing a back and forth. Today's chapter is lengthy, not too long, but I will just focus more on reading and give short commentary. Please feel free to drop in some of your questions and comments in the chat box. Generally on Saturdays, it's AskAMonk, and I respond to questions from the reading in the week. So that is welcome. So let us see what we have before us. Progressing beyond progress. It's already a very nice tongue twister. Progressing beyond progress. So Pushta Krishna asks question number 2. These are a few questions that Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, will be dealing with for a publication called Bhavan. So, Pushta Krishna. The traditional charge against Hinduism is that it is fatalistic, that it inhibits progress by making people slaves to the belief in the inevitability of what is to happen. How far is this charge true? Srila Prabhupada responds, the charge is false. Those who have made that charge do not know what Hinduism is. First of all, the Vedic scriptures make no mention of such a thing as Hinduism, but they do mention Sanatan Dharma, the eternal and universal religion, and also Varnashram Dharma, the natural organization of human society, that we can find in the Vedic scriptures. So it is a false charge that the Vedic system inhibits the progress of mankind. What is that progress? A dog's jumping is progress? A dog is running here and there on 4 legs, and you are running on 4 wheels. Is that progress? The Vedic system is this. The human being has a certain amount of energy, better energy than the animals, better consciousness, and that energy should be utilized for spiritual advancement. So the whole Vedic system is meant for spiritual advancement. Human energy is employed in a more exalted direction than to compete with the dog. Consequently, sometimes those who have no idea of religion notice that the Indian saintly persons are not working hard like dogs. Spiritually uncultured people think the dog race is life, but actual life is spiritual progress. Get reminded of our dear Robert Nesta Marley, Bob Marley, who said, "Oh, what a rat race. Oh, what a rat race. Oh, it's such a disgrace to see the human race in a rat race." So what a disgrace to see the human race in a rat race. So that is modern civilization, using the exalted energy of the human being in pursuing things that are available also for the animals. Therefore, Prabhupada is asking, the animal is running on 4 legs and you are running on 4 wheels, and you think that is actually progress. That means challenging. You can do better. That type of progress is not something to be proud of for the human being. So he says, spiritually uncultured people think the dog race is life, but actual life is spiritual progress. So this trying to make progress simply on the material plane is not sufficient for the human being, because the animals are also pursuing the same progress. Therefore, the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.18 says, Tataiva hetu prayateta kovido, nalabhyate yad brahmatam paryata, talabhyate dukavat anyata sukam, kalena savatra bira ramhasam. The human being should exert his energy for that thing which he did not get in many, many lives. Through many, many lives, the soul has been in the forms of dogs or demigods or cats or birds or insects. There are 8.4 million material forms. So this transmigration is going on. But in every one of these millions of forms, the business is sense gratification. How to defend, how to, let's see, I just lost my, but in every one of these million forms, the business is sense gratification. The dog is busy for sense gratification. Where is food? Where is shelter? Where is a mate? How to defend? And the man is also doing the same business in different ways. So this struggle for existence is going on life after life. Even a small insect is engaging in the same struggle. Ahara nidra bhaya maitunam. Eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. Bird, beast, insect, fish, everywhere the same struggle. Where is food? Where is sex? Where is shelter? How to defend? So the Shastra, scripture, says we have done these things in many, many past lives, and we don't get out of the struggle for existence. We'll have to do them again in many, many future lives. So these things should be stopped. In another place, it's discussed as Puna Chavita Chavananam in the 7th canto, which is chewing that which has already been chewed. Yeah, growing up, besidla ichappies, bubble gum. It's called chappies. And you chew it, and you'd see some of the kids, and I would stick it under the desk. And you'll see that they will try to revisit it, later on in the day or the following day. So trying to get something out of that which has been chewed. So this material life, by the time you're 18 these days, you've practically done all the things that are supposed to be great sources of enjoyment. Illicit sex, some type of gambling, intoxication, eating any type of food that you want. And in this way, it's just a repetition until one hits the grave. So we can do better than just those animalistic things. So this struggle for existence is life after life. And the whole thing is that it should be stopped. We should not be stuck with just chasing where is sex, where is food, where is shelter, and how to defend. So Prahlad Maharaj advises his friends in the Srimad Bhagavatam 7.6.3. Sukam ainjakam daitya deha yogena dehinam savatra labhyate dhaivat yatadukam ayatnataha. My dear friends, material pleasure, which is due simply to this material body, is essentially the same in any body. And just as misery comes without trying for it, so the happiness we deserve will also come by higher arrangement. A dog has a material body, and I have a material body. So my sex pleasure and the dog's sex pleasure is the same. Let that sink in. My sex pleasure and the dog's sex pleasure is the same. Of course, a dog is not afraid of having sex on the street in front of everyone. We hide it in a nice apartment, that's all. But the activity is the same. There is no difference. Prabhupada speaking from a gentleman's perspective, that generally that's what happens. It's hidden. But in our modern advanced societies, it is not hidden. It is filmed and it is put on the internet for any and everyone to see. Therefore, proving the point of just being no better than the animals. In fact, worse, because the animals will not document this to be watched by others. But the human being has become so misled. Still, people are taking this sex pleasure between a man and a woman in a nice decorated apartment as very advanced. But this is not advanced. And yet they're making a dog's race for this advancement. Prahlad Maharaj says, we are imagining that there are different types of pleasure on account of different types of body, but the pleasure is fundamentally the same. So basically what the cockroach is experiencing sexually, the dog, the horse, the demigod, is fundamentally the same. But the illusion is that, oh, as human beings, we are getting something which is completely different from everyone else. Naturally, according to the different types of body, there are some external differences in the pleasure, but the basic amount and quality of this pleasure has very well defined limitations. That is called destiny. A pig has a certain type of body, and his eatable is stool. This is destined. You cannot change it. Let the pig eat halava. If you don't know what halava is, it's a semolina sweet. That is not possible because the soul has a particular type of body. He must eat a particular type of food. Can anyone, any scientist, improve the standard of living for a pig? Is it possible? Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj says that everything about material pleasure is already fixed. The uncivilized men in the jungle are having the same sex pleasure as the so-called civilized men who boast. Instead of living in that hut made of leaves, we are living in a skyscraper building. Advancement. But vedic civilization says, no, this is not advancement. Real advancement is self-realization. How much you have realized your relationship with God. So Srila Prabhupada hitting on the point of our most favorite activity, sex life. We are so much caught up with it. And we are doing so many things to put ourselves in a position to get sex life or to be seen as fit for sex life. And or we're maintaining the products of our sex life. And we're selling our products in the shops through the use of sexual imagery. Sex, 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 sex. That's where the human being is shackled by these, it's called Maitunya Agara, shackled by sex desire. So Prabhupada making the point again and again that what you think is so wonderful in your human species is available for other species of life. And then you are trying to improve eating, sleeping, and mating. You sleep in a big building, but sleep is the same even for the dog lying outside. So to challenge us to think about the next frontier of happiness. So we continue. Sometimes people misunderstand, thinking that sages who try for self-realization are lazy. In a high court, a judge is sitting soberly, apparently doing nothing, and he's getting the highest salary. And another man in the same court is working hard all day long, rubber stamping and he's getting not even 1/10 of the judge's salary. He's thinking, I'm so busy and working so hard, yet I'm not getting a good salary. And this man is just sitting on the bench and he's getting such a fat salary. The criticism of Hinduism as inhibiting progress is like that. It comes out of ignorance. The Vedic civilization is for self-realization. It is meant for the intelligent person, the person who will not just work like an ass, but who will try for that thing which he did not achieve in so many other lives, namely self-realization. So remembering the question had to do with, is Hinduism fatalistic? And Srila Prabhupada began by correcting this notion that the Vedic civilization is what is called Hinduism, because in those Vedas, the Shastras, the scriptures, there is no mention of Hinduism. It is something that has come later on. And he says that this is called Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan means eternal, Dharma means, you could say, the codes of religious life or the rules and regulations for humans. So now he's saying that when people observe certain sages within this Vedic civilization who don't exert themselves hard in materialistic life, working hard, people think, these are just lazy people. And the example is that to do the important thing doesn't require you to run around a lot and sweat and work hard like that. Just like that judge, that he's just there, reading a few papers, passing his judgment, and he's seen to be not doing a lot compared to those who are pushing us. So different quality of work. So saintly persons, sages, are pursuing a deeper goal. We should not misunderstand them to be lazy. For example, we are sometimes labeled escapists. What is the charge, disciple? They say we are escaping from reality. And Srila Prabhupada responds, yes, we are escaping their reality. But their reality is a dog's race, and our reality is to advance in self-realization, Krishna consciousness. That is the difference. Therefore, the mundane, materialistic workers have been described as mudas, asses. Why? Because the ass works very hard for no tangible gain. He carries on his back tons of cloth for the washerman, and the washerman in return gives him a little morsel of grass. Then the ass stands at the washerman's door, eating the grass, while the washerman loads him up again. The ass has no sense to think, if I get out of the clutches of this washerman, I can get grass everywhere. Why am I caring so much? The mundane workers are like that. They are busy at the office, very busy. If you want to see the fellow, I'm very busy now. So what is the result of your being busy? Well, I take 2 pieces of toast and 1 cup of tea, that's all. And for this purpose, you're so busy. Oh, he is busy all day simply so that in the evening, he can look at his account books and say, oh, the balance has been $1,000. Now it has come 2,000. That is his satisfaction. But still, he will have the same 2 pieces of bread and 1 cup of tea, even though he has increased his balance from 1,000 to 2,000. And still he'll work hard. This is why kamis are called mudas. They work like asses without any real aim of life. Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago. Prabhupada pounding away to wake us up. Don't just become proud. We should not just become proud simply working on the material platform. We should be acting on the platform of spiritual improvement. Prabhupada gives very clear example of No matter how much the bank balance is going up, the capacity to eat remains the same. And sometimes working hard for money, people even forget to eat properly. And it doesn't mean that with more money, your stomach will get bigger or your tongue will have better taste buds. No, capacity to enjoy the senses remains the same. In fact, with more money, you can quickly deteriorate even the body sometimes. So that is the mercy of the pure devotee to remind us not to be tricked by Maya, material energy. But the Vedic civilization is different. The accusation implied in the question is not correct. In the Vedic system, people are not lazy. They are very busy working for a higher purpose. And that busyness is so important that Prahlad Maharaj says, Komara Achare Pragyo, beginning from childhood, one should work for self-realization. One should not lose a second's time. So that is Vedic civilization. Of course, the materialistic workers, they see these men are not working like us, like dogs and asses, so they are escaping. Yes, escaping your fruitless endeavor. Yes. Oh, you are not breaking rocks like us, if the prisoners say. You are not breaking rocks like us. You are escaping. Yes, you are escaping your breaking of rocks civilization. What's the fruit? The Vedic civilization of self-realization begins from the Varnashram system of social organization. Varnashramachara vata purushena parapuman Vishnu aradyate. Everyone should offer up the fruit of his occupational duty to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu or Krishna. That is why the Vedic system is called Varnashrama, literally social organization with a spiritual perspective. So this should be noted by the spiritualists. There tends to be a class of spiritual pursuit that is so spiritual that it has no spiritual objective to fulfill outside of what I think is spiritual for me. Here, spirit has to lead to the original spiritual person, Krishna. And therefore, all the activities have to be done for Krishna. And part of that is that the fruits of one's labor have to be offered up to Vishnu. That has to go on. Otherwise, one becomes bound by the very fruit that one is trying to enjoy. Therefore, charity is always encouraged so that one understands nothing belongs to me, everything belongs to Krishna. Therefore, I must give a portion of the fruit of my labor to the work of the Lord. The Varnashram system has 4 social and 4 spiritual divisions. The social divisions are the Brahmanas, teachers and priests, Kshatriyas, administrators and military men, Vaishyas, farmers and merchants, and Shudras, laborers and craftsmen. While the spiritual divisions are the Brahmacharis, students, Grihastas, householders, Vanaprasthas, retirees, and Sannyasis, renunciates. But the ultimate goal is Vishnu Aradyate, the worship of the Supreme Lord Vishnu by all. That is the idea. But the members of the so-called modern civilization do not know Varnashram. Therefore, they have created a society that is simply a dog's race. The dog is running on 4 legs, running on 4 wheels. That's all. And they think the 4-wheel race is advancement of civilization. Vedic civilization is different. As Narada Muni says, Tasyaiva hetu prayateta kovido nalabhyate yat brahmatam uparyada. The learned, astute person will use this life to gain what he has missed in countless prior lives. Take that in. The learned, astute person will use this life to gain what he has missed in countless prior lives, namely realization of self and realization of God. realization of self and realization of God. Someone may ask, then shall we do nothing? Yes, do nothing simply to improve your material position. Whatever material happiness is allotted for you by your destiny, you get it wherever you are. Take to Krishna consciousness, you'll get these other things besides. How shall I get them? How? Kalena Savatra Gabira Ramhasa. By the arrangement of eternal time, everything will come about in due course. The example is given that even though you do not want distress, still distress comes upon you. Similarly, even if you do not work hard for the happiness that is destined to be yours, still it will come. It's a very difficult one for people to digest. And I think part of it is that we are considering this doing nothing, meaning just remain idle. No, means do not do things with the objective of gaining material fruit. Do things with the objective of performing your duties, spiritual duties. And then whatever is destined to you, happiness or distress will come in due course of time. Krishna says, time I am, and here Prabhupada is quoting, Kalena Savatra Kabira Ramhasa, by the arrangement of eternal time. We can testify in our own lives that, by all standards of living, say personally, I've had no paying job for 20 years, and I have not starved and, slept outside because of lack of facility. But the Lord has his way to arrange the facilities for those who try to devote themselves in his service. And so the deficit is in our faith in the maintenance from Krishna. We don't consider that we can work for God. That job, that business that we want to start it for the service of God. We want to get the fruit to push the mission of Krishna. Similarly, Parad Maharaj says, Natat prayasa katavyam, you should not waste your energy for material happiness because you cannot get more than what you are destined to have. That is not possible. Even just data says if one hits middle class income, no increase in the type of income is increasing the amount of happiness that comes. So by middle class status of finances, that's basically the cap of material happiness. Any other increase materially will not bring an increase in happiness. And in fact, when they do these types of studies, sometimes trying to figure out what are the happiest nations in the world, I remember at some point they had Bangladesh as the happiest nation. At that time, I was shocked because I was looking at Bangladesh from the material perspective. I was thinking that they are not a very rich country. I came to know that also it's such a strong Vaishnav presence in Bangladesh that a lot of our teachers come from that part of the world. So I think because of that spiritual knowledge and practice, it also influenced this data on how they were actually happy. But of course, they were studying it from the material perspective. That don't try to earn so much money thinking you become more happy. That even the social sciences are giving that. So because you are undergoing so many distressing conditions, even though you do not want them, who wants distress? For example, in our country, Mahatma Gandhi was killed by his own countrymen. He was a great man. He was protected by so many followers. He was beloved by all, and still he was killed. Destiny. Who can protect you from all these distressing conditions? So You should conclude, if these distressing conditions come upon me by force, the other kind of condition, the opposite number, will also come. Therefore, why shall I waste my time trying to avoid distress and gain so-called happiness? Let me utilize my energy for Krishna consciousness. That is intelligence. You cannot check your destiny. The magazine's question touches on this point. Pushta Krishna. Yes, the usual charge is that this Vedic system of civilization is fatalistic, and that as a result, people are not making as much material progress as they otherwise would. Srila Prabhupada, no. The Vedic system is not fatalistic. It is fatalistic only in the sense that one's material destiny cannot be changed. But your spiritual life is in your hands. Have you ever put all your energy and tried every plan in the book and your situation just doesn't seem to improve? Sometimes it may go the opposite direction. And sometimes hardly any activity has been put, any work, and things fall into place. Destiny. So materially, that is already fixed. But our spiritual progress is in our hands. Our point is this. The whole Vedic civilization is based on the understanding that destiny allows only a certain amount of material happiness in this world, and that our efforts should therefore be directed towards self-realization. Nobody is enjoying uninterrupted material happiness. That is not possible. A certain amount of material happiness and a certain amount of material distress, these both must be present always. So just as you cannot check your distressing condition of life, similarly, you cannot check your happy condition of life. It will come automatically. Therefore, don't waste your time with these things. Better you utilize your energy for advancing in Krishna consciousness. Pushta Krishna. So then, Srila Prabhupada, would it be accurate, after all, to say that people who have this Vedic conception would not try for progress? No. Progress. First, you must understand what actual progress is. The thing is that if you try to progress vainly, what is the use of trying? If it is a fact you cannot change your material destiny, why should you try for that? Rather, whatever energy you have, utilize it for understanding Krishna consciousness. That is real progress. Make your spiritual understanding, your understanding of God and self, perfectly clear. For instance, in our International Society for Krishna Consciousness, our main business is how to make advancement in Krishna consciousness. We are not enthusiastic about opening big factories with big money-earning machines. No, we are satisfied with whatever material happiness and distress we are destined. But we are very eager to utilize our energy for progressing in Krishna consciousness. This is the point. So the Vedic system of civilization is meant for realizing God. Vishnu Aradhyate. In the Vedic system, people try for that. Actually, the followers of Varnashram Dharma, they never tried for economic development. You'll find in India still millions of people taking bath in the Ganges during Kumbh Mela. Have you been to the Kumbh Mela festival? Disciple says, no. Srila Prabhupada says, at the Kumbh Mela, millions of people come to take bath in the Ganges because they are interested in how to become spiritually liberated from this mature world. They're not lazy. They travel thousands of miles to take bath in the Ganges at the holy place at Prayag. So although they are not busy in the dog's race, these people are not lazy. Yani shasava bhutanam tasyam jargati samyami. What is night for ordinary beings is the time of wakefulness for the self-controlled. This is from Bhagavad Gita 269. The self-controlled man wakes up very early, practically in the middle of the night, and works for spiritual realization while others are sleeping. Similarly, during the daytime, the dogs and asses think we are working, but these spiritualists, they are not working. So there are two different platforms, the material and the spiritual. Followers of the Vedic civilization, which is practiced in India, although nowadays it is distorted, actually these people are not lazy. They are very, very busy. Not only very, very busy, but also Komara Acharya Pragyo, Dharman Bhagavatani Ha. They are trying to become self-realized from the very beginning of life. They are so busy that they want to begin the busyness from their very childhood. Therefore, it is wrong to think they are lazy. People who accuse followers of Vedic civilization of laziness or of inhibiting progress do not know what real progress is. The Vedic civilization is not interested in false progress of economic development. For instance, sometimes people boast, we have gone from the hut to the skyscraper. They think this is progress. But in the Vedic civilization, one thinks about how much he is advanced in self-realization. He may live in a hut and become very advanced in self-realization. But if he wastes his time turning his hut into a skyscraper, then his whole life is wasted, finished. And in his next life, he's going to be a dog, although he does not know it. That's all. So these are two platforms and two paradigms. One is material, and it sees progress from the hut to the skyscraper. And if you discuss it, yes, it is progress. There was a hut, now there's a skyscraper. But the other school is looking at the individual from the perspective of being a soul who is in a multi-lifetime journey, who shouldn't waste time in this particular life in trying to progress things that will be left behind. Either the heart or the skyscraper, it will be left behind. So it's a fight for our consciousness so that we can see one type of progress is progressing only to death, and therefore we don't get anything at the level of the soul. And Paul is making that point. No, don't be fooled by this type of progress. It is not the real platform of progress. But Krishna consciousness, self-realization, that is the platform of real advancement. So who is that person who is fortunate, who will have the ear to hear this? Most people, it comes in and goes out the other way, and they simply argue and walk away. They cannot go deep enough. Therefore, it said, what is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the introspective sage. What people think is, oh, amazing, wow, they fill up stadiums and scream and shout and think, fantastic. The deep person, the person who's thinking from the level of soul, may see the distraction from the goal of spiritual advancement. And he thinks, what a waste. Pusta Krishna, Srila Prabhupada, then this question may be raised. If destiny cannot be checked, then why not, when a child is born, simply let him run around like an animal and whatever happens to him, Prabhupada? No, that is the advantage of this human form of life. You can train the child spiritually. That is possible. Therefore, it is said, use this priceless human form to attain what you could not attain in many millions of lower forms. For that spiritual purpose, you should engage your energy. That advantage is open to you now in the human form. Ahaituki apratihata. Devotional service to the Lord, Krishna consciousness, is open to you now. If you're out there and you hear this or you're watching, spiritual progress is open to you now. Hayi kusasa, hayi ngomnyaka ozayo, manje. So siyanxusa, siyanicela ukuthi nithathe isikhathi senu to focus on Krishna consciousness. Don't become cheated by time. The time factor is wiping our lives away. All the young persons now are soon going to be the aunties and the mamas and the gogos and the mkus just tomorrow. And you have some vitality in your body, but you can walk and run. Use it for Krishna consciousness. Today we were out on Harinam. We started in Greenside. And it was quite fulfilling to be present amongst fellow humans and sharing the spiritual vibration with them. And you can see that the appreciation is there because they want, just as anyone wants to hear something nice. And also they want to be moved from inside. And so Krishna, in the form of his name, enters their ears and moves them within the heart. So we're trying to give the opportunity for people to start their Krishna consciousness. Harinam, Sankirtan, chanting in the streets, the hearing of the public is a way to give them a kickstart. So then we can't say that the Vedic system of Sanatana Dharma is fatalistic. There actually is endeavor for progress. Srila Prabhupada, certainly spiritual progress. As for the question of fatalistic, I have often given this example. Let us say a man is condemned by a court of law to be hanged. Nobody can check it. Even the same judge who gave the verdict cannot check it. But if the man begs for the mercy of the king can check the execution. He can go totally above the law. Therefore, the Brahma Samhita 554 says, Karmani nidahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. Destiny can be changed by Krishna for his devotees. Otherwise, it is not possible. Therefore, our only business should be to surrender to Krishna. And if you artificially want to be more happy by economic development, that is not possible. Abantu kudala bezama imali, thinking they'll become happy. But money has proven that more money, more problems. But money, which is Lakshmi, in the service of Narayan, God, then it can create good fortune not only for the one person who has acquired money, but for many, many, many others. But if we have money and we don't know what is the welfare of others, then we'll use our money to make big gambling casinos, create mass media that distracts people from the goal of life, and keep people interested in the animalistic propensities. Pusta Krishna. Question number 3. Srila Prabhupada. No, first of all, make sure that everything is clear. Why are you so eager to progress? Playing on that, you could say, the mood of the modern man. Always thinking progress, progress. This year's model and the next year's model. It's the same sort of thing. It's not really expanding in a serious way what we can do, just like a car. Cars have been, you can drive from one point to the other. And the objective is met by practically all cars. But, each car will try to include this, now there's that, now there's this. So Prabhupada, try to understand what is what. The first thing is that your destiny cannot be changed. That's a fact. But in spite of your destiny, if you try for Krishna consciousness, you can achieve spiritual success. Otherwise, why did Prahlad Maharaj urge his friends, Komara Acharya, take Krishna consciousness up from your very childhood? If destiny cannot be changed, then why was Prahlad Maharaj urging this? Generally, destiny means your material future. That you cannot change. But even that can be changed when you are in spiritual life. So sometimes this can be misunderstood because we may say, well, I've seen people change their material future. I was in high school, I went to university, I was broke, and then I started this business, I started to work there, and my fortunes changed. So look deeper than the external form of one's material life, how it is changing. This means that your happiness and your distress, what is destined to you, that cannot be changed materially. It can only be changed spiritually. That is why, rich or poor, everyone is going through happiness and distress. And everyone has the bottom line of distress. This world is causing suffering to the richest and to the poorest. Power. What is the meaning of apratihata? You said that spiritual development cannot be checked. Apratihata means this. Suppose you are destined to suffer. So apratihata means that in spite of your so-called destiny to suffer, if you take to Krishna consciousness, your suffering will be reduced, or there will be no suffering. And in spite of any suffering, you can make progress in spiritual life. Just like Prahlad Maharaj himself, his father put him into so many suffering conditions, but he was not impeded. He made spiritual progress. He didn't care about his father's attempts to make him suffer. That state of existence is called apratihata. If you want to execute Krishna consciousness, your material condition of life cannot check it. That is the real platform of progress. Of course, insofar as your material condition is concerned, generally that cannot be checked. You have to suffer. But in the case of a devotee, that suffering also can be stopped or minimized. Otherwise, Krishna's statement would be false. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. I will deliver you from all the reactions to your sinful activities. Suffering must befall me on account of my sinful activities. But Krishna says, I will deliver you from all the reactions to your sinful activities. This should be clear. Ordinarily, destiny cannot be checked. Therefore, instead of wasting your time trying to change your economic condition or material destiny apart from Krishna consciousness, you should employ your priceless human energy for attaining Krishna consciousness, which cannot be checked. We see so many men working so hard. Does this mean that every one of them will become a Ford, a Rockefeller? Why not? Everyone is trying his best, but Mr. Ford was destined to become a rich man. His destiny was there, and so he became a rich man. Another man may work just as hard as Ford, but this does not mean he will become as rich as Ford. This is practical. You cannot change your destiny simply by working hard like asses and dogs. No, but you can utilize your special human energy for improving your Krishna consciousness. That's a fact. So the point is being hammered. Work for your spiritual progress. Invest there. And do your material work, but not thinking that this will improve your actual happiness. Disciple. If destiny cannot be changed, what does Krishna mean when he says, be thou happy by this sacrifice? Srila Prabhupada. Do you know what is meant by sacrifice, disciple? Sacrifice to Vishnu, to Krishna. Yes, that means pleasing Krishna. If Krishna is pleased, he can change destiny. Kamani nidahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. For those who serve him with love and devotion, Krishna can change destiny. So sacrifice, yagya, means pleasing Krishna. Our whole Krishna consciousness movement means pleasing Krishna. That is the whole program. In all other business, there is no question of pleasing Krishna. When one nation declares war upon another, there is no question of pleasing Krishna or serving Krishna. They are pleasing their own senses, serving their own whims. When the First and Second World War began, it was not for pleasing Krishna. The Germans wanted that their sense gratification not be hampered by the Britishers. That means it was a war of sense gratification. The Britishers are achieving their sense gratification. We cannot. All right, fight. So there was no question of pleasing Krishna. Prabhupada used to say like that to really hit on a point. To hit on a point. So he has stuck and made his argument. And the argument is that material progress is not the way of spiritual progress, meaning material activity only produces further material reactions. And that means another body. You have to take birth to get your good results or your bad results. So that is bad. Spiritual progress, on the other hand, is always a win. Rasa Stadi Mataji Hare Krishna, please accept my pranams. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Is Bongisi Hare Krishna Prabhu. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 3 speaks about an intelligent person is one who sees action in inaction and inaction in action. Please explain this verse. Oh yes, this one is a tongue twister and as well as a brain twister. An intelligent person is one who sees action in inaction and inaction in action. So what does it mean? So we have to understand what karma means. In the verse, the word karma has been used. And so karma has 4 meanings. In one sense, karma means action. In the second sense, karma means reaction. Also, karma means like the system of action and reaction. And also, karma may indicate a particular type of action, whether pious or impious. And then another word that is used in the verse is akarma. So akarma may mean a negation of action, so inaction. And also akarma may mean action that does not produce a material result. So one who is intelligent is one who has heard properly to understand the intricacies of action, of karma, that one may be acting, but if one is acting in Krishna consciousness or for the pleasure of God, that is considered to be inaction because it is materially not producing any result. So to see that I can work, be active, but still be inactive materially. That is to see action in action. Another sense, actually, inaction, akarma, means sometimes I don't do anything. Like I'm just sitting on a couch. I may say I didn't do anything. You see the child crawling, towards the edge of the steps, and you don't do anything. And then the child falls over. When someone else comes who's responsible, you will be accused of the action of neglect. You didn't move, you didn't say anything, you didn't move your hands or legs, but you have acted because to neglect a situation, like police, if they see a crime and they don't act, then they are also culpable because they didn't prevent that crime, and it's their duty to do that. So although they didn't do anything, they've actually done something by that inaction. So intelligent person sees this network of actions and inactions, and he can understand what is proper action, what is sinful action, and what is devotional action. So it's a highlighting that there's a need to understand the intricacies of action. Yes. So the actions of the devotees, when they are to please Krishna, they are as good as not doing anything, because it is not a material activity. So I hope it does bring some type of understanding. Let's see what else. Is it possible to enjoy with Krishna at the same time? Is it possible to enjoy with Krishna at the same time? That is, pleasure your senses as well as the senses of Krishna simultaneously. The science is that by watering the root of the tree, then the whole tree becomes nourished. So to please ourselves is tied in with the pleasure of God. What we think is pleasing our senses, that is material, that's sense gratification. It's a selfish platform. But when we cook the best meal and offer it for Krishna's enjoyment, then Krishna so kindly gives that meal to you as prasadam you enjoy. If you sing the sweetest song, but it is Krishna's name, you sing it in the nicest melody, and you dance, and you raise your hands, and you open your heart to glorify Krishna, you may enjoy that song, but that song is elevating you because if it is directed at Krishna. You may build a house, you may furnish it so that you can have a good bed to rest, so you can wake up early to read the scriptures, chant Krishna's name. And so you have a rested body, you have a good environment around you. So your senses, your body is pleased. But if it's using your body and mind and senses for Krishna's service, that happiness is the real platform. Otherwise, sense gratification. Your bed, your house, your money, your songs, you, your body, your mind, pleasing your senses. It is all binding. Kulufela really liked the reading. Srila Prabhupada's words are always potent. Thank you. Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisance. Great reading. My question is, how does the spiritual benefit differ if one takes the Krishna consciousness from childhood as opposed to taking it in your adulthood? Hare Krishna. It would just mean that if you take it in childhood, then you naturally, throughout your life, have cultured the proper habits, the proper etiquette, the proper understanding, and therefore you avoid being caught up in sinful life because you've been trained from young how to live a sinless life and a devoted life. So then the quality of your life is greatly improved and you can make much more tangible progress. Of course, whenever one catches Krishna consciousness, they begin to make progress from there. There is no loss. At any point that one begins, one gets the credit. But it's advantageous if one has started it from young. Then they are not burdened by trying to undo bad habits or bad conditioning. But any point when one comes to Krishna, Krishna says, as they surrender me, I reward them accordingly. So it's a matter of surrender. Otherwise, one may have contacts from young, but if they don't surrender themselves, then the benefit is not as significant as one who surrenders even in adulthood, but is seriously giving himself to the service of the Lord. So yes, forgive us, somehow our internet today isn't as steady as I would have liked it to be. But we've come to the end of this section. It was quite a long purport. Please check it out on YouTube and Facebook at Wusa108. Give us some likes. Get this knowledge out to everyone else. We invite you tomorrow to take part in this beautiful program at 10 a.m. with His Holiness Shri Krishna Chaitanya Swami. His topic is Krishna killing the demons in Vrindavan. So come and find out what Krishna does in Vrindavan, his happiness, there at 10 a.m. And then at 7 p.m., we'll be reading Civilization and Transcendence with Ongisipo Fanagan Tambo. And invite her to come for that. And Mema, please come. And then Monday, we're back with Kulu Fellow. So thank you for spending time with us and wishing you the very best. Hope to see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Hare Krishna.
You are not this body you're living in. You're an eternal spirit soul, so where shall I begin? Every single living entity, including you, is immortal. Wait, hear me out, it's true, our bodies are changing every moment. We're more than just evolving, I mean every cell is changing. We're always reincarnating until every 7 years each cell is replaced. The old body has changed, so the question remains, who are you then? Like, where's the you? How can we feel it, touch it? And what can we do? You could ignore the concept and walk away like phew. Or are you really searching for the truth? Does your life have meaning, or are you trying to escape? It's hard to face yourself, I know it is, I feel your pain. To find out who we really are is too close to the bone. Wait, no, it's close to the soul. We're getting somewhere now. Whoa, who is this guy? Man, I knew he was crazy. When I clicked on the link and it came up on my page, I should have gone another way. Think he's involved in a cult, and now he's trying to get me, and he's going on about the soul. Actually, I am crazy in the eyes of most, but most people aren't open, they just don't want to know. The question I propose to you from me is, do we have the eyes to see? Where was I? Oh yeah, the soul. The soul is unborn and it never grows old. You can tell by the symptom of the way that we cry, just trying to deal with a limited life. Why is death so painful? Because we're not supposed to die. The spirit soul's eternal and we know it inside. It's like, why should I change my body again? That's the real meaning of human sense. If I'm eternal, none of this is my property, then why shouldn't I take my eternal body, my eternal existence? Why should I die? This is the beginning of a human life. This form of life is a special chance for us to get free from the laws of karma, material energy, a chance to be liberated from the hurt and stress of this continuous cycle of birth and death, a chance to realize your eternal blissful state and attain your original spiritual body one day. We have free will to make our own decisions and have to face the reactions to the way that we've been living in this material world. Sense enjoyment is temporary. We do it over and over and it never makes us happy. Not knowing our true nature, we're trying to enjoy through all this temporary stuff. It's never enough. We cage ourselves into this prison, numb our consciousness. Instead of meditating on our existence, we allow the media to condition us, so we shop and identify ourselves with these bodies that we're not. This ignorance causes dissatisfaction in the soul. We can't understand why we're not happy, and then we grow old. And if we're not careful, go cold. It's hard to turn back once your soul's been sold. If you don't know why you're here, just be honest, you don't. Maybe you could find out if you consider the soul.